Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Let's rock this thing. Welcome. Okay, so we got a lot of stuff to cover today. Okay, I want to make sure that we're going through and we get you delivered basically the 7 boots on the ground that you're going to need for virtual real estate investing. You don't have to do this stuff virtual. If you want to do it in your own backyard, that's totally cool. But the main focus for us right now today is to show you the 7 boots on the ground that you need for real estate investing. Frankly speaking, I see we got John on. Awesome, John. Nice to have you, man. Frankly speaking, I recommend that you get, even if you're going to do deals in your own backyard and not do this virtually, I recommend you get these 7 boots on the ground added to your team ASAP, because you, as the real estate investor, you don't want to be the person running around doing all this stuff. You don't. There's more qualified people than you, and your time is worth so much. It's very, very precious. So let's go ahead and let's get to it. I would like to know how you're sourcing your deals right now. That's going to help me guide you in this conversation. Okay. How are you sourcing your deals? If it's realtors, just type realtor. If it's through wholesalers, type wholesaler. If it's through like direct mail, type direct mail. How are you sourcing your deals right now? That's going to help me guide you. How are you sourcing your deals right now? Go ahead, let me know in the comments below. Okay. Go Raiders. Go Raiders, John says. Yeah. Okay. So how are you sourcing your deals? Let me know that in the chat. That's going to help me guide you on this. Okay. The first person that you need to find, the first boot on the ground, is someone that can help provide properties to you. Yes, you can certainly derive your own leads. Okay. Bernard says, hey, Manny, nice to see you. How you doing, man? That is a big bottle of water. You like that? Yeah. That's I got to drink a gallon a day. So I fill it up in the morning and then I drink my gallon by the end of the day. Bernard says, just beginning to use Facebook. Awesome. That's the right tool, as I believe you and I got to connect a little bit earlier. So yes, it's the right tool. John says, Kate's Kung Fu. John's referring to Kate on our team. She uses social media in a very special way, and it's Kung Fu Kate. We've got another person saying expired listing service. By the way, if you want your name to be able to pop up like this, you got to click that little link that's above or below the video. That allows this streaming platform to actually pop up your name. That's how that works. So that's why some people can, some people can't, but that's okay. Okay, cool. So first boot on the ground is someone to help provide properties to you. Even if you're running your own ads and all that kind of stuff, I want you to have someone to be able to provide properties to you. Most people are going to say, well, hey, should I just call a realtor? That is one option. Okay. Realtors are fantastic for some parts of the business. I don't recommend that you use them to buy houses today. Sorry, I know. And I'm actually a licensed real estate agent myself in the state of Wisconsin. And I don't recommend that you use agents to buy properties today. And it's nothing wrong with the agent. I recommend that you use them to sell properties. Right now, like, there is no better avenue than hiring a real estate agent to list your property and sell it, because there is so many eyeballs on the tool that they have called the MLS, the multiple listing service. So for selling properties, it totally makes sense to have a real estate agent help you. Like, it's going to be a golden hour for them to put it up there and let it fly and let 10,000 plus people look at it. But on the buy side, check this out. Okay. This right here, this is a report. You can Google search this stuff. Google search the Jackson Fuller study. Okay. You're going to find on it right here. Okay. They found that homes sold, let me blow this up a little bit for you. Okay. They found that homes sold off MLS, off market, not listed with a realtor, AKA off market. They sold between 9 and 17% less in price. Off-market deals are selling for 9 to 17% less. Let's just call it 10% to make numbers really, really simple, okay? 10% looks like this. On a $100,000 purchase, they're saving 10 grand buying off-market. If you decide to go on market with a real estate agent, then you're paying an extra 10 grand. If it's a $200,000 house, you're paying an extra 20 grand. $300,000 house, you're paying an extra $30,000. $500,000 house, you're paying an extra $50,000. That's what this study found. Okay. So when I'm saying like, don't go and buy with a real estate agent, it's not because I'm trying to hate on real estate agents, not at all. I think that real estate agents are fantastic. And I think that there will be another market, especially if we have a lot of foreclosures or bank owned inventory or distressed inventory hit the market. Realtors are going to be the go-to for buying properties for that. But in this market, when there's very limited realtors, there's way more realtors in some cities right now than listed houses for sale. There's way more realtors than listed houses for sale in some cities right now. In each realtor, they've got lots of clients. So they're showing more and more eyeballs. Like buying properties on the MLS right now, it's a tough go, very tough go. Okay. Now, on the other hand, when we're talking about selling properties, it's like beautiful to list with a realtor. Okay. That's my 2 cents on that. So the next one is a wholesaler. If you're looking for properties, a wholesaler can help you. I recommend for everybody here that you get wholesalers bringing you deals. These are the people that are working like the off-market world. They're working directly with sellers. They're running ads. They're doing bandit signs. They're doing all kinds of crazy things to drive traffic to them. I recommend you work with them. Let them bring you your deals. Even if you're not the end buyer, like let's just say that you plan to like sell to somebody else or find an investor that's going to step in with you, that's okay. Still work with them, still have them bring you deals. Okay. We got some chatter going on in the chat right here. Yes. Okay. Let me get back to work here. Okay. Next one, turnkey provider. Okay. Let me back up. On the other wholesaler thing, reputation matters big time. I had a friend that he got a deal under contract from somebody in Miami, Florida, and he put up $5,000 earnest money. And then he went to go close on the deal, and the person that sold him the deal, the wholesaler, just disappeared. And he tried to recover his earnest money and could never recover his earnest money. And I asked him straight out, I'm like, his name's Mike. I'm like, Mike, why on earth did you give $5,000 earnest money directly to someone, a human being? Why didn't you send it to the title company? He's like, yeah, I didn't know any better at the time, and I made a mistake. And anyways, so there's some people out there that are unscrupulous people. They're criminals and they do bad things. And I'm recommending that you don't like work with wholesalers that have bad reputations. Like you can Google search pretty much everybody nowadays to kind of see what they're about. I would do a Google search on them. I would just check, see if there's anything positive or negative that's out there. Technically I'm a wholesaler. I wholesale some properties. Most of what I spend my time on now is doing more like syndications, where I work with investors who want to invest into our larger projects. But when I'm selling some of the smaller stuff, like, single family house or a duplex, I oftentimes wholesale that to a buyer. And so I'm a wholesaler. Now, like reputation, when I'm talking about this, it matters to me big time too. And so like for us, we've done some things, and I'm saying like any accomplishments that we have, like they're on the internet. You can Google search what Home Invest has done and hasn't done. We made the Inc. 500. We won some awards. We're doing good things. We're trying to take care of God's people on this planet. Like that's the way that we operate. And so a wholesaler that you're going to potentially work with, I would check them out, see who they are, see if they're worthy of your time or not. Okay. The next one, okay, is a turnkey provider. Now, if you're just going to sell the property to somebody else, I wouldn't go to a turnkey provider. A turnkey provider, what they're doing is they buy properties, they renovate them, they lease them out, and then they sell them to investors that are just looking for passive income. Okay. I don't recommend, if you're just trying to wholesale to somebody else, that you take properties from a turnkey provider. It's never going to work, is the main thing, because they're having to buy. Let's just pretend they're buying at 85% of market value, and then they're renovating it. Now they're in at 95% of market value. For them to sell it and make a profit, they've got to sell it for 100% of market value or more. So there's no room for you or I to like wholesale that deal. So it doesn't make sense for you to go to a turnkey provider. Okay. Unless your buyer's like paying way over retail price, which buyers, they're pretty savvy people. They're not going to want to do that. Okay. Next, and this is my favorite one, is you can go direct to sellers. Okay. It's like, instead of going to a wholesaler, instead of going to a realtor, you go direct to sellers. How you do that is, like, my favorite technique is you use something like the Investor Engine, you use something like Social Media Blueprint to market to sellers. You can certainly try the old school methods like direct mail, bandit signs, cold calling, but I wouldn't endorse or recommend those because I'm not doing them anymore. I've tried them all. Cold calling is pretty much like you want to rip your hair out because everyone's saying no to you and you're buying the same list that everybody else is calling. I see too many people quit the business altogether because cold calling is a failure right now in this kind of market. In a different market, it's great. But in this kind of market, when it's a seller's market and it's so hot, it's just not the right path. Those big, ugly yellow bandit signs, I've done them before. I have. I don't endorse it right now because number one, it's a crazy market. But number two, cities just frown upon them. They take them down right away. You can get fined. It's just much easier to connect with people where they are. And where people are, just go to a restaurant. Look around at where people are looking. You got a husband and wife on a dinner date. Where are they looking? Are they making eye contact, connecting with one another? Or are they on their smartphone scrolling through stuff? And you and I both know the answer to that. And it's sad. And I don't like that about society and where society is going. But the reality is that most people are right on their smartphone. And so we have to learn to adapt, to connect with people where they are. So if you are going to go direct to seller, highly recommend that you're running social media ads or you're doing social media organic posting. Two things that like our team does, our company helps people with those processes. Like Social Media Blueprint was founded upon that for real estate investors. That's what I do personally. That's where I get all of my deals right now. If we have time today, I'm even going to show you some of the deals that we've cracked the barrier on. Some, like one of them is a beautiful off-market 72 unit apartment building. 72 unit apartment building. Like you don't just find those going on the MLS for a good price. You find those by doing stuff on social media the right way. Okay. Next one, inspector. That's your second boot on the ground, is an inspector. I want you to have someone that knows basically how to inspect and then also helps you guesstimate or ballpark the repairs. Okay. I have renovated a lot of houses. I've had the blessing from God. It's a privilege to be in this game for quite some time now. And I've seen a lot of renovations go through under my belt. I pretty much know what most inspectors know. Okay. I didn't when I first started. I knew nothing. But now I know what I'm looking at. I still hire an inspector for every property. I don't cut that out. I don't cut it out because the inspector is going to spend a heck of a lot more time going through the property than I'm going to. They're going to test all the plumbing systems, all the electrical systems. They're going to crawl under the house in that dirty crawl space. They're going to check the foundation. They're going to climb up on the roof. I want someone to do that for me. I don't want to have to do that stuff myself. I'd rather have their expertise dig into that property. So even though I might know a thing or two about renovating and looking at houses and looking at buildings, I'd rather have someone else go and do that. So my encouragement for you is look at the same thing. Just get a good inspector, okay? That inspector, like especially since they can help gauge the cost of repairs without you having to sit down and try to come up with rehab estimates and all that kind of stuff on your own, it's a huge asset to you for having this boot on the ground, okay? The third one is a contractor. Okay, seems pretty obvious on this, but let me give you a couple tips. Okay, I like getting contractors from referrals. That's usually the best place. Like birds of a feather flock together. The best electrician I've ever had, he came from my plumber. The best plumber I ever had, he came from one of my other contractors. Like they're good people tend to network with good people. So I start with referrals to get contractors. Now, you still have to manage contractors, even though they're referred and all that kind of stuff. There's still a certain way that contractors operate best. Let me explain, okay? I had a contractor that did 15 or 16 renovations for me, did a really good job. And then I had this client. He was the owner of a large national company. He lived in Minnesota, owned this large national company. And he came to me and he said, "Hey, Nate, I've got a couple of my friends." One of them was a Hollywood actor from the TV show called Desperate Housewives. He referred me his actor friends to let us do what we do. We find properties, get them good deals and all that kind of stuff, renovate the house, all that stuff. Anyways, and so like I already had that relationship established with him. So he came to me after referring these people and said, "Hey, I'm doing some work on my house in Lake Minnetonka. That's like the nicest lake in Minnesota, really big, gorgeous houses, $1 million homes all the way around it. I'm doing some work on my personal house. Do you have a contractor you can refer me, Nate? And I said, yeah, I got this one that he's done quite a few projects for me. He's really good. Let me send him over. And so I connect him. I check out, he's working direct with the contractor. Next thing I know, I get a call from him 2 months later. And he's like, hey, Nate, this contractor you referred me, he's a joke, man. This guy, he doesn't call me back when I call him. He's, dodging me and blah, blah. And he's just like telling me a horror story report. And my heart has sunk to my stomach at this point. And I'm like, oh, because I referred this guy. And this is an important relationship that I have. I mean, I'm getting referred from him high profile clients from Hollywood. And like, I don't want this for anybody, but this is really bad that it's him. And so then I call the contractor and I'm like, hey, what's going on? Like, I'm being told all this stuff. And he's like, Nate, you have no idea. This guy tries to change the scope of work almost every single day. The job that I signed up for and what I bid out is completely different than what he's asking. He's trying to twist stuff and change it. And like, I can't handle this guy. And so here I am now stuck in between these two. And what I realized is that not everybody manages contractors the same way. Contractors, like, they respond to certain things very, very well. And sometimes they don't respond to other things well at all either. We've figured it out over the years. We've actually, for our renovation projects, we've flipped the equation upside down. I don't hand contractors a big chunk of money. Instead, they have to do work. And then after they've completed work, then we'll advance payment to them after they've completed work. It's not the other way around. And so there's certain things that we've set up based on experience that we just do different. Well, my client that's referring me people and all that kind of stuff, like, he doesn't do contracting every day of his life. He told me, he's like, I've done this enough times, I can handle it. Well, the reality is that he couldn't. And the reality is that the majority of United States citizens and worldwide citizens that are hiring contractors, they've never done it. They don't have that experience either. So what I recommend, if you don't have experience, hands-on experience renovating houses, then you don't hire the contractor. Instead, what's going to happen is you're going to hire a property management company to do your property, and then you're going to let the property manager hire the contractor. Okay. The property manager does it every day. They deal with contractors, fixing stuff, installing stuff, and they've got a deeper relationship with the contractor. They have more leverage on the contractor. They know how to pay the contractor, not do advance payments, but post payments. Just let the property manager do it. That's my advice. Okay. So like, don't get scared or freak out or anything like that. Just let the property management company that you hire do the contracting portion. Okay. The next thing, and by the way, we're going to talk about property managers, one of the boots on the ground. I'll talk about that in a couple more points here. The next one is this, a financer or a bank, a lender. Okay. You might be in a good cash position now where you can do some deals and you don't need a bank. Totally cool. I get it. But eventually all of us run out of cash if we're trying to buy more and more units, if we're trying to acquire more. Okay. And so what we need to have is a good bank, a preset relationship with a local bank that can do refinances. So if we buy it with cash, or if we buy it using a short-term loan situation, we can go to the regular bank and do a refinance, cash out, put that money in our pocket and go on to the next deal. And so I want you to have that. I want you to have a cash out refinance set up with a local bank. Okay. Then there you can recycle your money. And maybe it's not even you. Maybe you're like, well, Nate, I'm selling these properties to my buyer. By having that financing source, that lender, you are more valuable to your buyer too, because now it's not just you showing up with the property. You got all of these people, all of these 7 boots on the ground to say, hey, Mr. Buyer, yeah, you need help with this? I got that. Hey, oh, you need help with that? Yeah, I got that. You need an inspector? I got the inspector. Let me connect you. You become a more valuable asset. That's a key. And I know that that's not like the lesson or the focal point of the training tonight, but I hope that's an underlying thing that you take away from this. I didn't realize it when I was building this whole business, like, especially when I started wholesaling some houses. I was just wholesaling and, trying to make my $5,000 at the time. We don't do that anymore. Now it's more like 13,000. But at the time, like, I was just wholesaling. But what I found is that when my buyers would ask for certain things, if I had that certain thing, like, hey, you got a contractor that can do this? If I had that certain thing, I became more valuable to my buyer, and my buyer would buy more often from me. I have one buyer, individual person, that's bought 61 properties from me. It wasn't all at once. It was one at a time. A couple of them might have been 2 at a time or 3 at a time, but the majority of them were all 1 at a time. Kept buying and buying. Why? In that same time period, he tried buying from other people, and then for whatever reason just stopped. And eventually all of his purchases just came through my team. Why? He didn't go to a realtor. He didn't go and try to run ads himself. He just wanted to buy all of his properties from us. Why? Why do you think? Let me know in the chat. Let me know in the chat. Why do you think a buyer would come back over and over and over again and just buy from one spot? I had a really blessed opportunity to work with a gentleman that started a small fund. He raised some money, and then he needed to place that money in properties. And I had the privilege of meeting him, and then we hit it off, and then he bought 1, and then he bought 8, and then it turned into 200 plus properties. 200 plus properties. Okay. Here's our guesses. Brian says trust. Brian says trust. Great. Yeah, trust definitely had to be there. That's a huge part of it. Yep. Next one, because we helped. Next one, because we made it easy for him. This is an interesting answer right here. We made it easy for him. Yes, we did. And that is a huge part of it. Ease. Ease. Let me put it this way. Why would someone pay $10,000 for liposuction? That's surgery. That's invasive surgery. That's dangerous for some people. They'd pay $10,000 for liposuction, but they won't pay $97 a month for a gym membership. Think about that. Why would someone pay $10,000 for liposuction, but they wouldn't pay $97 a month for a gym membership? Because of ease. Just like it's being said right here. Ease. It's easier to pay $10,000 and have that stomach go away than having a gym membership for several months where you got to work hard. And so if we apply that same logic to selling properties, oh, this is another good guess right here. Good answer. Full service system. Yeah. If we apply the same logic to our operations and we make it really easy and it's full service for people. And when we say full service, I'm not recommending that you like try to rehab the house for them. That just gets into another liability you don't want to get into, but you can certainly refer these people, refer the players. You got the full system and you got an easy process for people to follow, then they want to jump in. They want to do it. So I hope you catch that as kind of an underlying theme with this training. It wasn't meant to be the topic of the night, but like it works. Okay. Another good answer here from Camilo, because we bring great deals and all the support. Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. Okay, cool. Next one. I want you to have an insurance person that's local. I said local. Okay. I get that we all have like our insurance person we probably work with. If they don't do investment properties as their primary thing, I'd get a different one that does investment properties as their primary thing, and they're local. Local insurance agents know the local parameters. I'll give you a kind of a for instance on this. Some regions of the country have floods. Some regions have tornadoes. Some have wildfires. Colorado right now, California. What about hurricanes? Each area of the country is different. If you're just getting a quote from a national insurance provider, the challenge is that sometimes they don't know the local instances, the things that can happen, the things that you need protection, actual protection from. Okay. When you're getting quotes on insurance, I want you to have one fork in the road really clear. There's going to be a whole bunch of variables. They're going to ask things like, well, hey, how much deductible do you want to pay? And hey, how much coverage do you want for the contents of the property? And those are all things that you can talk about and get advice from the insurance agent. But there's one thing that I want you to know, and I want you to know it very clear. The difference between ACV, which stands for actual cash value, and replacement costs. ACV and replacement costs. Now, I didn't know the difference when I first started, and I bought a rental property, and sure enough, hailstorm comes through, wrecks the roof. Wrecks, I mean, golf ball sized hail hit the roof and damaged a bunch of shingles on it. It wasn't like leaking, but it was bad. And so I called the insurance company, and then they sent an adjuster out. Adjuster says, "Yeah, sure enough, you need a new roof." I'm like, "Okay, great. It's going to be about $7,000. Can you just write me a check for $7,000?" They're like, "Well, let me send it through the company, and then they'll send you the final." So I wait a few days, get a call back, and I get the email from them, and they say, "Yeah, we're going to give you the $7,000. And the way it's going to work is this: you owe $1,000 for a deductible, so that's going to drop it to $6,000. And then we're depreciating the roof. We're depreciating the value of the roof by 5,000. And so we're going to give you $1,000." And I'm like, I'm doing the math, and I'm like, no, that doesn't make any sense. The roof's going to cost me $7,000. Why are you giving me $1,000? That doesn't make any sense. Why would I even pay a deductible? That makes no mathematical sense. I just want the roof, fix the roof. And then they pull out the insurance contract with me, and I had selected ACV, actual cash value. I didn't know what replacement cost meant. Okay. And what replacement cost means is that they're going to replace whatever it is in today's dollars. They're going to pay for it to replace that. ACV means they're going to replace it minus the depreciation factor of the roof. Well, what they had figured out from the insurance adjuster is that the roof up there, it was not a brand new roof. It was older roof. And even though it had years of life left into it, like I could have left it up there for probably another 5 or 10 years. In their opinion, they're saying, well, hey, no, the roof doesn't have much time left. So we're not going to give you full market value of a roof. We're only going to give you this much market value of that roof. So I learned the hard way the difference between ACV and replacement costs. And I now want you to forever remember, just check mark replacement costs. Okay. It's going to cost an extra 20 or 30 bucks a month for insurance, but it's worth every penny. Okay. Okay, cool. Manny says his local insurance guy referred him to a great inspector. Awesome. And these like birds of a feather flock together, Manny. So that's awesome. If once you get one really good contact, you can start asking them, hey, do you have a guy? Do you have someone that does this? Do you have someone that does that? You got an insurance guy, you got a lender, and you'll find them. You'll build this up around you. Okay, the next one is a property management company. Okay, property managers are worth their weight in gold. I love working with them. Doesn't matter what kind of market we're in, you need a property management company. Even if you're never going to do a rental yourself, you need a property management company. One, because of that referral full service thing that you've got all the tools in your tool belt to help buyers. That's number one reason. Number two reason, you're going to need to be able to do things like get rent quotes, like know how much a property would rent out for, because you're probably going to have buyers that are going to ask you, hey, how much would it rent for? And I want to be able to turn to the property management company and say, hey, how much could you rent this place for? Okay, so I want you to have a good property management company. You can find them through asking the other people. You can ask your property provider. You can go into Facebook groups. There's a whole bunch of ways to get them, but I want you to have a good property management company, okay? I want the following to be true for them. Remember this through PR. My property manager has to be good at PR. And what P and R stand for are the following, okay? The P is proactive. I want them to be proactive with on-site inspections. I don't want to wait until the end of the year to find out that they had a dog in there that was peeing and pooping on the carpet and eating up my doors and my trim, an illegal dog. I don't want to wait for that. I want my property manager to be walking the property every quarter. Now it's getting harder, especially in single family, to get property management companies to walk the property that often, but at least twice a year. At least twice a year, I want to know what's going on inside the property. So if I can get quarterly though, then I'll get quarterly. In multifamily, it's actually more common that they'll hit those because all the doors are in one place and it's easier for them. But single family, it's so spread out, it's hard for them to coordinate all that kind of stuff. The next part of proactive is I want them to be pre-leasing my property before the existing tenant moves out. I had a problem in Kansas City, Missouri, where I was looking at my financial statements and I was noticing that I was missing a month of rent. It was 2 or 3 units. This one missed a month of rent. This one, why are they missing? And I get on the phone with the property management company. I'm like, hey, why are we missing months of rent? Like, this is crazy. Like, the rental market's strong. Like, why are we missing a whole month of rent? And then they explained to me like, well, Nate, we actually changed our policy. We decided we're no longer going to show properties until the existing tenant has moved out. So if someone's going to end their lease, we want them to fully pack up and move out. So then we can send our cleaning team in there. We'll do some painting touch-ups. We're going to make it beautiful again. So then when we start showing it, then we get tenants that want it like that. And I'm like, okay, I get your logic. I understand what you're trying to do, but do you realize that you're costing me 1/12 of the monthly income? That's like 8% every single year. That's a huge number, 8%. I mean, wow, I can't have that. And so I explained to them, I understand your policy, but that's not my policy. Like, I want my houses pre-leased. And then they gave me pushback. They're like, well, how are we going to get the existing tenant to show the place nice? And then I said, I did this once, 1348 3rd Street, St. Paul, Minnesota. I had a tenant that was in there, and they had, instead of like having the nice blinds up, they hung Superman sheets over the windows. Dishes were stacked a mile high. Like, it did not look good at all. It was a beautiful little house, but it just presented terribly. And so I needed it to look nice. I was getting an appraisal done for refinance. And so I reached out via property manager, and I offered them a $50 gift card if they could keep the place super nice for a week and a half. $50 gift card. And sure enough, the place was beautiful. When the appraiser came through, it was beautiful. And then I paid the $50 to the property management company. They got a gift card. It's not that complicated. Okay. You can make the house look nice if you give an incentive to the existing tenants. So I want that proactive property management company. Okay. That's the P out of the PR. The R is that they're responsive. What I mean by that is that not only to you, when you call and interview the property manager, are they responding back and forth to you, but also to the tenants, because ultimately the tenants are your customers. The property manager is really, if you owned a store, if you owned a McDonald's or a Chipotle, the property management company is the team that's like making the food and serving the customers. They have to be responsive. If they're not, tenants are going to leave. They're going to trash the place. They're going to move on to greener pastures. They're going to move somewhere else. And so I want a property management company that's very responsive, okay? Not just to me, but to the tenants. I'm going to check that. I'm going to go to their reviews and I'm going to read them. If they got 200 reviews, I'll scan the majority of them. I'm going to look at the 1 stars and the 2 stars. And I'm going to try to figure out what's going on. I want them to average 4 stars or better. Now, I have had property management companies that are in the 2s. And when I interview them and say, hey, why are you in the 2s? Then they'll say, well, it's because we have to evict people. We have to evict people, so they always trash us online. And I get that. There is some degree of that, but there's still no reason someone should be that low of a rating. They should be 4 stars or higher, even with evictions. If you are communicating and you are honest with people, most people, they'll respect you. I know this because I ran a property management company. We built a property management company from the ground up and we sold it to a big national company. And so I was there. We maintained really good rating. We were 4.4 stars. Wasn't easy to do, but we did it. And that was with evictions and all. Okay. So that's what I want on your property manager. And then the 7th boot, the 7th and final boot on the ground you need for your team is this. I want a local title company that's doing business for you. Okay. If you're in a state that's like they use closing attorneys, because 50% of the United States is title company, uses title company, and 50% uses an attorney to close deals. That's okay. Like either one, I'm going to use the term interchangeably. But you need someone that's local that's going to close deals. I had this buyer that was buying a lot of properties from me in St. Louis, and he insisted upon using his title company. And I'm like, okay, all right, they're a little bit out of the area. They're still in the same state, but okay, fine. We'll use your title company. Well, sure enough, we're buying, renovating, and leasing out these properties, all that kind of stuff. We try to go for an occupancy permit, meaning this building lost its certificate of occupancy. The city had condemned it for whatever reason. And so we referred the contractor, got the place renovated, and now we needed to rent it out again. So you have to regain the certificate of occupancy. I applied for it. I filled out the paperwork for it. I sent it in. City's just ignoring us. I wrote some letters. I call, city's ignoring us. I'm like, what the heck? And finally, I'm living in Minnesota at the time. I jump on a plane. I fly down to St. Louis, Missouri, and it's in this little municipality. I'm not going to say the name because you'd know it if you Googled it. And I don't want to get anybody in trouble. But I fly in. I go straight to the city office, and I'm like, hey, hi. I talked to the nice lady at the front desk. Well, she was nice at first, at least. I talked to her and I explained the situation, and she's like, well, you're going to have to talk to the mayor. And I'm like, okay, when can I talk to the mayor? And she said, well, you'll have to set an appointment. She's booked out a few weeks. I can get you on the calendar on such and such date. And I'm like, ma'am, I flew in specifically for this. Like, my team has been trying to call you. You know, we sent our local contractor in, like, and nothing's moving. I can't wait 3 weeks. Like, I got to get this done while I'm here. Can you make an exception? She's like, nope, sorry. And I'm like, well, does the mayor like work here physically? And she's like, yeah, that's her office back there. She's back there. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm just going to sit down right here and I'll wait for the mayor. And the lady looks at me and she's like, you can't do that. No, you can make an appointment 3 weeks from now or nothing. And I'm like, ma'am, like, you don't understand. Like, I can't wait 3 more weeks. I've sent you guys so many letters. Like, I've already tried. And she's like, nope, nothing we can do. And I said, okay, I'm just going to sit right here then. And I sat down. Next thing I know, she stands up. She's like, sir, I'm going to have to ask you to leave. And I'm like, ma'am, like, please understand, I can't leave. I just need to talk to the mayor. That's all. I'll just wait right here. I'll mind my own business until the mayor's free, and then I'll just talk to the mayor. And then she says, I'm calling the police. And she says it with this loud voice. And so everybody in the whole place now is staring at me. Imagine like when you go to the DMV, it's a setting kind of like that. So there's all these people that are working in their little stations, and then someone gets up and yells, I'm calling the police. Like, everyone's now staring at me like I'm a criminal. And I'm like, okay, all right, I'll just wait right here. And so the police station's attached to the building. So like a minute or two later, all of a sudden there's this officer coming in, hand on hip, on the holster of the gun like this. And he walks up like he's getting ready for a Texas, like old, those old Western, showdowns. He walks up to me like that. He's like, and the lady's pointing at me as he walks in, like, there's the bad guy kind of thing. And I'm scared. I'm like shaking in my boots inside because I don't know what's going to happen. They're going to arrest me. Like, what's going to happen? And then the officer walks up to me. He's like, what seems to be the problem? And I'm like, sir, I'm just here to get a certificate of occupancy. I've written all these letters. Here's copies of the letters. And like, I've been trying to get this resolved for months. No one seems to respond to stuff. He's like, and he looks at one of the papers. He's like, oh, is that one over there on First Street? I'm like, yeah, First Street. He's like, yeah, I know that house. This is a small municipality. He's like, oh, I know that house. He's like, oh, you guys are the ones that are renovating? I'm like, yeah. He's like, you did a beautiful job. I'm like, thank you. He's like, is that really why you're here? Just to get a certificate? And I'm like, yeah, that's it. That's the only reason that I'm here. Like, now he starts to take his hand off his gun. He's like, so you just want to get a certificate of occupancy? I'm like, yeah. He's like, well, why don't you write a letter? I'm like, no, I already did that. Remember, these are the letters. No. He's like, why don't you write a letter right now and I'll deliver it to the mayor? And I'm like right now? He's like, right now. You write the letter, I'll walk it into the mayor. And I'm like, okay. I take a piece of notebook paper, I write the whole letter, I snap a picture of it so I've got documentation. I hand it to the officer. He's like, okay, go wait in your car. I go out to my car, I sit down, no more than 10 minutes. Like, I remember because my heart was still pounding. I'm in the car, no more than 10 minutes. I get a phone call. It's the St. Louis area code 314. And so I answer it. I'm like, hello? And I hear this voice say, hi, is this Nate? Yeah, this is Nate. Hi, sweetie. Your permit for certificate of occupancy is approved. You can come in now and pick it up. Okay, thank you. Click, hung up. I walk back in, same lady that just gave me she had my certificate. She gave it to me. I thanked her. I walked out. I got it. Okay, why do I tell you that? Well, here's why. Because we use this other title company, they missed one piece of paperwork that hung up the whole thing. If they would have done that piece of paperwork right there on the day of closing, and this is the advantage to like local closing companies, if they would have done that right on the day of closing, we would have saved 3 months of back and forth. But because we missed that, it ended up costing me a trip to St. Louis and almost handcuffs into a jail cell. So get a local title company. Local title company will save you countless hours, okay? All right. It's time. I'm going to open up for questions here. So if you got questions, you can go ahead, drop them in the chat. I'm going to do my best to answer them. If you happen to catch this, by the way, on a replay, please leave a comment about the training. I would appreciate that. It also blesses the social media algorithm, so to speak. So leave a comment what you thought about the training, or if you have a question, you drop it. I'll answer the live ones now and all that kind of stuff. But if you happen to catch a replay of this later, then go ahead, drop the question or the comment below too. I would appreciate that. Also, smash that like button. I appreciate that. That helps us get more of these out to you. You're supporting our channel by smashing that like button. Okay. Cool. Next thing, if you want help with any of this stuff, my team might be able to help you. I can't guarantee it or anything like that, but my team, what we do with people, we jump on a 15-minute phone call. It's not something that you can like buy something on or anything like that. What we believe with folks and this real estate investing journey is it's a little bit complicated, especially when it comes to making this social media stuff work for real estate investing. It gets kind of complicated for people. People are like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to post or which ad to run. We do that for people. We offer services where we build stuff out. We offer services where we just show you how to do it, and then you take the playbook and you run. Anyways, we can jump on a 15-minute phone call with you, and we can map out a game plan for you. If you like the game plan and you want to talk more about us helping you implement it, cool, you just let us know. If you just want to take the game plan and run and you don't want to talk to us anymore, that's fine too. What I've noticed, the way that we get so many seller deals is that we just straight up serve first. Add value first, 100%. And that's why we consistently knock down seller deals. Like I've got this beautiful, I wonder if I can show it now. Anyways, I've got this beautiful 72-unit apartment building, this off-market deal. We got this by serving first. Serve. So take that as a nugget for you and for your business. Just serve people and just watch what happens. Watch, because then the people that you serve, there's going to be a percentage of them that come back and say, hey, I really like you. I want to work with you. And so it's the same thing here. If you want someone to look under the hood in your business and give you some recommendations and help map out a game plan, then all you have to do is type the word hire, Hire, the word hire, drop that in the comments below. And then what will happen then is someone on my team will reply to you and they'll message you and they'll see if we can help you. Okay. So if you want to explore that and you want to see what we might be able to do to serve you or to at least map out a game plan for you, then type the word hire in the comments below, Hire. And basically, like what I found, and I'm a big proponent of this, I pay a lot of people. Like I've got a marketing coach now for 3 years that I pay them to help me because it makes me go faster. Like just the secrets that you get, it's like the ultimate cheat code to have someone that's already figured it out, that's already getting consistent deals, opportunities. If they just show you the path, it speeds up the process to getting consistent deals every single month. It speeds it up tremendously. So if we can give you that cheat code, happy to, okay? Type the word hire down below. Okay, first question. First one. Great practical money saving, time saving training, advice, training here. Thanks, Nate. Thank you. Appreciate that comment. Really do. Thank you for being here today too. Bernard says, great information. Awesome, Bernard. Round 2 for you today. You're going. You're sitting back, taking in the info. That's good. Let's see that translate into some nice deals for you. Next one from Camilo. Camilo, let's see. How do we really buy deals without my money? Everybody talk about that. Lenders do not borrow if you do not have history or a lot of experience. Okay. So Camilo, there's a few ways that you can do this. I did a training called SLP not that long ago. Okay. You can find it if you dig around in this Facebook group under the video section. Depends if you're catching me on YouTube right now. It's in the YouTube channel. If you're catching us on Facebook, it's in the Facebook channel. But you dig around, go through some of the old videos, look for SLP. Internally, we call it Set for Life. Set for Life. I don't know if I'll be able to draw it there. Here's what I'll do. I'll do a little Jamboard action here. Jamboard, and I'll share screen. Okay. Well, let's do this right here. Do a little share screen action so you can see this. Okay. How do we buy properties without having to spend our own money? This is SLP. Okay. SLP 101. It stands for Set for Life internally. We joke about that because this is the ultimate way to buy real estate where you put money in your pocket up front, and you make cash flow forever off the property. There is no other way that I've seen that is this good. Okay. This is a combination of a few mentors of mine and trial and error. And anyways, SLP. Okay. What we're going to do first, we're going to, let me get a little sticky note. We're going to SLP. Okay. I want to do select. Oh, I don't know why I had to delete over that. Undo that. Well, that's fine. Select works like this. You're going to go find a property. Okay. Maybe you use our technique, Social Media Blueprint. You find a beautiful off-market property for around $200,000. So I'll just put a 200 right here. Okay. And let's just pretend that this property needs 20 grand worth of renovation. You're going to need to cover closing costs, taxes, insurance, maybe a few months of utilities until a tenant moves in. You got some out-of-pocket stuff. Let's just call that 10 grand. Okay. And then I want you to get paid up front on this. I want you to make 10 grand up front. So we're going to put a $10,000 management fee. If you do the math on this, this is 200 plus 20 is 220, 230, 240. So we're at $240,000. Okay. Let's just pretend right here that this house, usually when they need some kind of renovation, you can usually get them a little bit below the market price. But let's just pretend that it's worth like, I don't know, 275, something like that. Not a major discount, but enough for you and an investor to be excited about it. What I want to do with this property, I'd prefer to rent it. Let's just say that this $240,000 property, roughly, or the $275,000 property, let's just say that it rents for, I don't know, $1,800 a month. That's probably reasonable. $1,800 a month. Okay, I'll put that right up here. Per month. Okay, it's hard to write with a mouse, by the way. I'm going to select this property first. I'm going to put it under contract. I'm going to put it under contract subject to my inspection period. Okay. Don't worry if you're like, oh, but money, I don't have the 240. Don't worry about that. That's coming. Okay. Next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to find leverage for this. Think of this as one of those big square buildings. This probably looks more like a jail, but I'm actually trying to make it look like a bank. Okay. Bank. I'm writing with a mouse, so my handwriting is terrible. Sorry. Okay, this is a bank. I'm going to call a bunch of banks. Okay. Even though you already know they're not going to approve you in this particular case. Maybe they would, maybe they wouldn't. Doesn't matter. I'm just telling them, hey, I got this potential property. I have a partner that's really well qualified for the bank loan. Could you do a loan on a property like this? And then the bank says, well, yeah, if you're really well qualified, if you pass the credit check and all that stuff, and we'll do an appraisal on the property. If everything looks good, we'll do it. Okay, great. That's all I need. Then what I'm going to do over here on the P is I'm going to find a partner. That's what P stands for. Partner. I'm writing with the mouse again, so this is terrible handwriting. But I'm going to find a partner that wants to get in on this deal. Okay. This right here is the money maker. This partner, what I'm going to say is, hey, partner, you like this deal? You want to get in without having to do any work? I found the killer deal. All you have to do is bring $240,000 in. And I already have a bank that they'll probably bring 75% of it. They'll bring somewhere between 60, maybe up to 75% of this deal. So I need you to contribute the rest of the cash that we need to close on this thing. Can you do that, Mr. Partner? And the partner is going to want to see the numbers. So you're going to lay them all out, be open book, share everything. And then when they say, yeah, you know what? I do that. So on 240, let's figure out the math quick. On $240,000, 240 times, I'll just go conservative, times 0.7. The bank would loan 168. So we need to bring 30%. We need to bring $72,000 to the table. So I'd say, hey, Mr. Partner, can you please bring $72,000 to the table and get with my bank? They're going to pre-qualify you and all that kind of stuff. We're going to do this deal together. We'll be partners on it. Okay. When the investor says yes, I'm going to immediately call a real estate attorney. I'm going to have the attorney draft all the documents. The attorney is going to want you to do things like this partner should be an accredited investor. don't worry too much about that definition. There's a ton of them out there. But you want to have the partner bring this money. And I'm going to tell the partner, hey, wire this to the title company on the day of closing. On the day of closing, we end up getting our management fee right here. Okay. This is fully disclosed up front. We told them about it. We showed them all the numbers. We get paid this. And then after the place is rented out and this cash flow is coming in, this $1,800 per month, part of it goes to pay the bank, part of it goes towards taxes and insurance, and then the rest is a split. You guys split it. Okay. Now, at some point, when you decide to sell this property, first person to get paid is you pay back the money that the partner put in. You pay them back. Whatever dollar amount it was, you pay back the bank, you pay back the partner. Any profit beyond that, and remember, like, look at the appreciation we've had in the last couple of years. It's insane. Values keep going up and up and up. Well, and that could come to an end. Who knows? But right now it's crazy out there. You know that. Anyways, when you go to sell that property, there's usually some good equity. There's already some equity in this property. 50% of that equity can be yours as well. So that's how you do this deal without having to have a whole bunch of cash. That's how you do it. Okay. So I hope that makes sense. That's called our SLP process. SLP, just remember it like that. SLP, that right there. Like, I have one of our clients that we're working with directly. I showed him that about 2, maybe 3 weeks ago, him and his brother, Ryan and Austin. And they put it in motion. Like, they took action on it right away. They just met with an investor over the weekend who committed to funding 4 projects for them. 4. That could potentially mean that they can put like 40 grand in their pocket up front. And then in addition to that, they can split the cash flow on 4 properties for life. Imagine that. Okay. It is the best strategy I've ever seen. And I through some mentors and then trial and error, I stumbled upon this SLP process. And for me, like, it was a game changer. I had one gentleman that we started with one house, then we did a second house, then we did a third house. And one of them even went terrible. 1348 3rd Street, St. Paul, Minnesota. It didn't go as planned. I had planned to actually do a buy, fix, sell on that property. And I had to turn it into a rental because it didn't sell. But because I structured the SLP with him where we could split the rent cash flow, he's like, yeah, that's not bad. We'll do that. Let's keep splitting cash flow. I'm like, okay, cool. And the next thing I know, over the course of a few years, we did 84 houses together. That's 84 with one investor. One. I don't know what that might be able to do for your life, but for me, like, it changed everything. Everything. Okay. Once you really let this SLP process sink in and you start executing it, it is a game changer. That's another thing that we do for our clients, SLP. So if you want help with that, type the word hire in the chat. HIRE, hire, HIRE. That can probably help you really exponentially catapult you forward if you start implementing that process. Okay, next one. I think you're awesome and I can't wait to work with you soon. I closed my first. Yeah! I'm going to celebrate even though I don't know who this is because Facebook is masking it. That's okay. I still want to celebrate. Congratulations. Congratulations. I love that. That gets me jazzed up. I actually get more excited about our clients' deals than our own deals internally. And it's just because, like, our own deals internally, like, it's just become an expectation. We know the numbers we have to hit and we just go out there and make it happen. So, but when I see people getting their first, it's not even always their first deal, but their first consistent deals. Like, when I see people getting consistency, because that's the number one problem that real estate investors have. They try this business and they might get sporadic deals, but they never figure out how to scale it. They never figure out how to have reliable income. They never figure out how to have reliable sellers coming to them every single week. Could you imagine for a second, like, waking up to your inbox with leads every single day, opportunities that you can go out there? That, to cross that line, it's hard for most people. When you try the whole, like, trial and error, I'm going to cross my fingers and hope kind of stuff, it takes forever. It does. But if you got someone guiding you along the path, it's like lightning. It goes so much faster. I had a gentleman that got really sick health-wise. He was in the hospital for a bit. And so he had to take some time off. He's a client of ours. He had to take some time off. And then, so he comes back. And in the last couple of days, I told him what to do to get back on track. And so he goes out and he does it, like really like does it, executes to a T. Didn't take him that long, took him about a day. And I got a message from him early this morning saying, I have too many deals coming in right now. Can you please jump on the phone with me? I need a way to screen all these fast. It's like, just 2 days ago, you were telling me that you needed to jumpstart the whole thing. And in 2 days, now he's saying he needs to basically turn the thing down. It's coming too fast. He doesn't know how to screen them all. And like, that's what can happen. Okay. So if you want help with that, you just type the word hire down below, HIRE. Okay. Next one, Camilo, I saw a building, 4-floor, 2 commercial building. Okay. Already rent out 2 floors for 10 years. Amazing rich city. So I did not find any lender interesting to come into a deal with a lot of requirements. Yeah. Lenders are tough right now. They're really tough. They are. No 2 cents about it. But if you get the right partner that's really well financially qualified, then lenders aren't so bad. Cool. John says, Marla is the light. Awesome. Leon says, hire. Awesome. Leon, we'll reach out to you. Somebody on my team will reach out. We'll say hello. Probably either Franco, maybe Ted, maybe Esther. But somebody's going to reach out and say hello, and then we'll see how we can help you. Looking forward to hearing how that goes. Mike says the same thing. Awesome to have you, Mike. Thanks for coming on tonight, man. Manny says, how long do you have to own a house and sell it before you get hit with capital gains? So Manny, I'm not a tax expert, so I can't like give tax advice. I'm not an attorney. I can't give legal advice, but I've been around long enough and done enough transactions where I can recite what my CPA tells me. Okay. A 1031 exchange, typically I should back up. Let's not jump straight to 1031. Okay. If you're going to buy a property with the intent to hold it for long-term rent, okay, so let's just say you buy it, you rent it out for a year, and then someone comes along and makes you an offer and you sell it a year and a month later, 13 months later, that could fall into long-term capital gains. Okay. Now, if you sold it at the 11-month mark, that's going to be short-term capital gains all day long. I don't know of any argument to get out of that. Okay. So if you want to find yourself in the long-term capital gains bucket, it's a lot easier if you can prove that it was intended to be a rental and you've owned it for at least a year. That's generally what my CPA says. Again, I'm not a tax professional, so don't take anything that I'm saying as professional or legal advice. I'm just telling you some friendly investor advice. Try to hold it for at least a year and rent the place out. Then you start to push yourself over into the long-term capital gains. And that's a huge deal, Manny. Like, I'm glad you're asking this because it's literally the difference, depending on your tax rate and all that kind of stuff, but it could be literally the difference between paying 20% tax rate and paying 40% tax rate. It's double, like, depending on your tax bracket. Like, so that's massive. Good question. John's saying the same thing too. Manny, a year and a day switches. Cool. Thanks, John. And then Manny was asking, but don't you have to own it for 2 years before you pay any taxes? So there's another angle in the whole tax game. If you own or occupy a property and you live in it for at least 2 years, then there is another IRS code. I think I don't even want to quote it. I don't remember. I just went through this whole exercise recently for my tax return, but I don't remember. But there is an IRS code that says if you personally live in the house and you sell it for a gain, if you've lived there for the last 2 years, then you can be exempt from that gain entirely. So that's probably the tax code you're thinking of. But for investment properties, long-term capital gains is where I aim for my properties to fall. I own it for at least a year or more. Camilo says, yes, that makes sense. Awesome. Stephen, my man. Stephen, I'd love, if you're open to this, I'd love to have you on and interview you some night. I've been telling, like, just to help inspire people with your story. I'll share for just a second. Like, Stephen is, number one, he's serving God in a massive way. Like, literally has dedicated his entire career to serving God wherever God's called him. He's been to China for a long ministry. Now he's back in the United States working in a beautiful ministry, taking care of our youth, like college age folks, and helping guide them in the right direction. Like, so number one, my heart just goes for you. But number two, what you've done with your portfolio over time, I think people need to hear that story, man. If you're willing and open to sharing that, I'd love to have you on one of these and just do an interview with you so that people can really lean in and see, number one, how God's provided for you no matter what, but then number two, what you did to create this portfolio. I'd love to share that story if you're open to it. I'm not putting you on the spot or anything, but I'd love to hear it, man. Brian says, hire. Awesome. Brian, thanks for coming on tonight, man. Nice having you here. Looking forward to seeing how we can help you, man. Bernard says, that's awesome. Following your lead. Cool. Manny says, for some reason, I love lease option deals. You get paid 3 times. Yeah, lease options are fantastic. I was on my team call this morning. Kate was telling our other team members about how we've had 2 of them. Unfortunately, we had 2 that we did that both buyers, they paid down payments. They were there. They paid rent for a while, but both buyers, for whatever reason in life, they both decided to cancel. And then we got the properties back. We didn't go into those with that intention. Like, I go into every single lease option like that with the intent that they're going to buy it from us. And I hope that they buy it from us. But sometimes what happens is circumstances come up in life. I think one of them was going through a divorce. The other one, I don't know what happened. But yeah, so you can get paid 3 times. And some people, if they take the property back, they get paid even more times. They get paid a down payment up front. That's called an option consideration payment in most states. Depends on which state we're talking about and what the exact contract structure is. But you get that down payment up front. You get the rent in the middle. And then when they cash you out at the end of the term, usually your purchase price to them is higher than you paid for it. So usually there's another payday there. So yeah, you can get paid 3 times there. If the property comes back to you, sometimes more. Cool. Bud says, hire. Awesome, Bud. Hey, thanks for being on, man. What part of the country are you in? I'm just curious. What part of the country are you in, man? Looking forward to seeing how we can serve you, man. See if we can help. Marcus says, hire. Awesome, Marcus. Pleasure to have you on, man. Also, let me know where you're tuning in from. I always like to know that. It's just kind of fun. Otherwise, I just kind of sit here in my own little world. But if I get to know where you're from, it helps build some community. Cool. Manny says, thank you. Rebecca, that's my sister's name. We called her Becky for a while and she got mad at us. She says it's Rebecca. So we have to call her Rebecca now. No pun or negativity towards you. It's a beautiful name. Beautiful name, Rebecca. If you get a house under contract and it's a pre-foreclosure or foreclosure, does your contract put the foreclosure on hold? No, Rebecca. Some states you might be able to argue that you have equitable interest in the property and maybe have an angle to slow it down, but no I wouldn't stop there. I'll say it that way. Okay. I wouldn't stop there. You'd have to have some kind of notice recorded at the county that your contract exists. Like, that would make me feel a little bit more comfortable that you've got equitable interest. Sometimes they call that a lis pendens. There's different variations of this in different states, but you need to have something recorded at the county to show that you have interest in it. One of the real estate investors that I get a chance to work with, his name is Jay. What he did, rather than getting the contract, he could have just got the contract, but he knew that the foreclosure date was coming very soon. And so he went directly to the seller. It was a family. Mom and dad had both passed. Dad passed away years after mom. And so dad just passed. The kids were taking over the property, but they didn't even want to take it over because it had a big mortgage on it. And for them, it was like, they didn't want to deal with it. Property needed work, all that kind of stuff. They just wanted out. And so he went to them knowing that the situation, and he said, hey, tell you what, I think I can take on the bank and I know how to do it. Would you mind if I did some yard work here? I'm going to clean up all the leaves. I'm going to clean the gutters out so that the house doesn't get any more damage. I'm going to do some actual work. And then I'd like to file a mechanic's lien, it's a contractor's lien, against the house so that my work is protected. And I'll work it out with the bank. I'll deal with the bank head on if you'll give me that permission. So they're like, yeah, sure, we don't care. And so they sign a contract for him to be able to do the work. He does some work there. And he did I don't know, a few hours of work. I don't know the exact amount. And then he filed a $5,000 mechanic's lien, a contractor's lien against the property. So sure enough, what happens is the bank then sees that lien. The bank can't just, they have to send notices to everyone that has a lien on the property. And so then he gets a notice. And then meanwhile, another really experienced investor is asking for deals. And he's like, well, I got this one, it's a lien against the property. And he ends up assigning his lead. It's basically like wholesaling. He assigns his lien to the other investor for 10 grand. Literally, like, here's my lead. If you pay me $10,000 cash, I'll give you the rights for my lien. That investor then sits on it for a day or so and then reassigns it to another investor who pays him $25,000 for the lien. We're talking about a piece of paper. Well, what these investors knew is that the bank's not just going to wipe out that second lien. The bank is going to want to try to negotiate, or most often what the bank in first position does is they'll say, hey, second position lien holder, do you just want to pay me off? I don't want to hold the property. If you just pay me off, you can have the property. Okay, so that's what ended up happening. That last investor that bought that lien, they ended up working with the bank direct, and the bank sold them their position at a discount. So he ended up getting the property at a big discount with a lot of equity in it. So I wouldn't just stop at a purchase agreement. I'd go a little further. I'd want to have some kind of recorded lien in that deal. I had a seller come to me that was in the middle of foreclosure that had 2 liens against his property. And I took it to my attorney, and my attorney, really smart guy, Brian Holscher in Minnesota. If you're in Minnesota, like, Brian Holscher is the deal structure expert by far. He owns a title company, really good dude. Anyways, Brian looks at the whole thing. He pulls a title report and says, Nate, you don't want to do a purchase agreement with the seller. I already had a purchase agreement with the seller. But he's like, no, you don't want that. What you want is the second position lien right here for $17,000. You want to take over that. And I'm like, isn't that risky? Isn't that scary? He's like, no, this is how you do it. We're going to backdoor this transaction. You're going to get that lien, and then we're going to go to the first position lien holder. We're going to try to buy them at a discount. And I bet you the second position for $17,000, I bet you they'll sell it to you for $5,000. I'm like, okay, let me try. I called the second position lien holder. Hey, will you sell me your lien? Sure enough, just like Brian said, it wasn't exactly $5,000, but it was like $7,000 or $8,000. I get that lien. The property was, I'm pretty sure, don't quote me on this address, but I'm pretty sure it's 2347 Dahl Avenue in Maplewood, Minnesota. I remember these weird ones like this. Anyways, so I get the second position lien, and then pretty soon the first position lien, sure enough, we get in conversation. We're able to buy them off at a discount. We buy the property at a pretty big discount. So there's other ways to do this. There's actually 17 different ways to structure deals. By the way, that's something else that we teach people. I can go on all night about this, but when you show up to work with a seller, if you don't know multiple ways, then what happens is that it's kind of like a baseball player that only knows how to hit a fastball. If you only know how to hit a fastball and the pitcher throws a curveball, he will strike the batter out every single time. If the batter only knows how to hit maybe a curveball and a fastball, but they don't know how to hit a knuckleball, the pitcher will just keep throwing knuckleballs, and then they'll strike the batter out every single time. In real estate investing is a lot like that. If you're looking for like getting, providing a good solution to sellers, bailing them out of their troubled situation, you got to know these. You got to know how to hit all these different pitches. And so a lot of what we're teaching in real estate investors outside of just the lead gen stuff is we have 17 ways to buy houses here. 17 different ways. If you don't know all 17, you are missing out. You're striking out. I promise you. Okay. So if you want help with that, also type the word hire, HIRE, in the chat, HIRE, and we can help you with that. 17 different ways to buy houses. Just ask our team about it. We'll fill you in. So cool. And I know I'm getting a little bit long. I hope you guys don't mind. I'm trying to make sure that I answer all these questions. We got a late one running right now. Steven says, yes, for a fee. Good man. At first I thought it said for free. Now I got to pay Steven to come on and tell that story. Okay, we'll have to do the good old arm wrestle, Stephen. I've been working out too, man. I've been going down to that gym every morning. I don't want to every day, but I'm doing it every day anyway. So we're gonna have to arm wrestle that. Chris Wright says, this is great. Awesome, Chris. Nice to have you on, man. One of my church pastors is a Cindy Wright with the same spelling as your name. I don't see the last name Wright very often. So it's cool to see that, man. Welcome. Leon's in Los Angeles. Awesome. How's LA? Has it been intense market? I got a lot of clients that are from various parts of from California. I was reading the next one, which says Cumberland, and it was just crossing in my brain, but got a lot of clients from California. Sacramento, quite a few come from. So Los Angeles, awesome. Rebecca says, your sisters are just like me. Let me see. Rebecca. Rebecca. I'm pretty sure. Is there any other way to spell it? I'm pretty sure it's either that or it's like one letter different, maybe not two C's, one C. I'm pretty sure though. Yeah. Yep. Marcus says, I'm in Little Rock. Awesome. Little Rock, great place. We have 2 clients right now in Northwest Arkansas. So yeah, cool. Arkansas is a good little market. And Rebecca says, I go by Rebecca too. Awesome. Awesome. Rebecca, that's my sister. She's coming down in a couple weeks for Easter. And I got to remember, I called her Becky since she was like this little. Now she's all like big with kids and all that kind of stuff. And she wants to be called her formal name, Rebecca. So I got to remember that. And Leon says, yes, very hot for investors. Yeah, I'm hearing that a lot. That's a good thing. It's a really good thing. Like, I know it's not as fun when you're in that competitive situation trying to buy the properties, but if you give yourself an unfair advantage by having sellers come direct to you instead of you chasing them, which is like, that's marketing 101. Like, you want them coming to you instead of you chasing them. If you give yourself that unfair advantage, then when you go around to find a partner for the deal, it's so much easier because you're in a hot market. You got people everywhere trying to put their money in deals. You can find the right partner for that. So cool. Manny says, Manny's going to make me blush. I'd love to meet you one day. Awesome. Manny, I love that too, man. We do some pretty cool stuff. For clients that we're working with, we do events, I don't know, once every 6 months or so. We got one coming up pretty soon in good old Nashville, Tennessee. So we're coming to Nashville. I think it's just like 3 weeks away. So cool. Leon, that's what you need help with. Awesome. If you didn't already, I think you did, but if you didn't already, then type the word hire down below, HIRE, and then our team will get connected with you. All right. I held you guys on overtime. I don't want to hold you up all night. And I got 2 little boys, the other room over there. It's we do dinner, family time, a little bit of playtime, and then we do bath time. I got a little one. He's 2 years old. He loves bath time. It's like his thing. So I'm going to go be dad now. I appreciate all of you just coming and playing full out. It's so helpful with these questions and just engagement like this. So I appreciate that you came and played full out like this. I hope I'll see you again next week on the show, and I look forward to it then. Thank you very much. God bless. Enjoy your evening. Bye-bye.